Hello everyone, welcome back for another battle, and this is going to be another series taken from DreamHack Summer 2011. Another best out of 3 series, this time between one of the top Korean pros and one of the main references here in Europe. You're going to have spawning here on the 6 o'clock position. What can I say about this guy? It's JulyZerg, the God of War, Golden Mouse winner. There's not much else to present about a player with this caliber, and he's going to be clashing against this Protoss, this red Protoss, spawning on this 3 o'clock position, who is mouzMaNa, the Polish Protoss player, one of the most solid ones in Europe. And for today, I'm gonna be having the company of my partner in crime once more. It's Sebastian from GG Vision. He's gonna help me out follow this huge clash between one of the BroodWar Legends and mouzMaNa, who is one of the references here in Europe.
Indeed, and I'm very happy to be here on your channel, Hydra, casting JulyZerg, as you say, the God of War, one of my strong Starcraft BroodWar idols, and a champion also in Starcraft2. And together, you and I are Hydrastian, and we bring the action.
This game is supposed to be quite an intense and interesting one, especially because of the map. It's one of the biggest ones, meaning that the rush distance will take a while, it's fairly long, and this might promote some longer games. Also, we do know that July loves aggression. He just sometimes just enters this berserk mode where he keeps just throwing stuff at his opponent, hoping for him to break. Let's see if this is the case or not, because July is not your standard Zerg. Also probably result of all the experience he accumulated in the past from BroodWar and all the good results that he's been having on Starcraft2 as well. Might be a sign that his style being different doesn't mean it's wrong. He's just having things done his way and he's actually profiting from it.
Indeed, I mean, for those of you who don't know the result of DreamHack, close your ears right now.
Incoming the spoilers. Go.
But July did pretty well, so his style of play is, as you say, different. It's considered ultra aggressive, and hence that is less economical, perhaps less fail-safe than many other ways of playing Zerg. It is definitely less reactionary, and common knowledge, which is just a theory, says that Zerg should be reactionary. JulyZerg, he is aware of that, but he does not quite believe in it, and he just makes the gameplay his way. He is extremely aggressive. That is why we love him. That is why he's a 3-time Golden Mouse winner, and that is why he will be able to put very much hurt onto Mana, no matter the outcome of this game.
JulyZerg, instead of being reactionary, is more revolutionary. He tries to show that it is possible to be aggressive and offensive as a Zerg player. But for now, when taking a look here at the build, as you could follow, we had here JulyZerg going for spawning pool first, already taking care of his Zergling speed, and now grabbing his hatchery at 4 minutes 12, around 4 minutes, while on mouzMaNa's side, he's still getting that wall off done, trying to chrono boost the warp gate as fast as possible. He already has a sturdy wall here that won't allow the Zerglings from JulyZerg to enter the place, but doesn't seem like July is very concerned with any kind of early aggression. He's gonna commit himself to a bit of macro play and probably try to mess up a fearsome army out of this 2-base play as soon as his hatchery pops.
Indeed, and for newcomers to the game, they might think that when we say an aggressive Zerg player, that should mean 12 drones and then nothing but Zerglings try to hammer down. But no, of course, aggression comes based off economy. JulyZerg is one of the best macro Zergs out there. It's just that he deploys the resources that he gathers in the most aggressive manner, rather than trying to get the perfect unit composition that will counter a Protoss opponent. In this case, he will get a lot of money so he can throw a lot of stuff and make him bleed until he dies in a, most revolutionary manner. So we see the macro Zerg kicking in here, Queen going down there to inject just as the hatchery finishes, and meanwhile we see Mana following up with his own Nexus first, rather not Nexus first, but his first Nexus, and he's well behind July. Let's see if he can put on some aggression with these early sentries.
Well, Mana is playing cautiously here. The Protoss players at the moment enjoy quite a lot their 3 gateway expand, which is the case here as well. He went for those 3 gateways, Cybercore, wall off, and then expanded. This is quite a safe build. It will guarantee that he's going to be safe.
Indeed.
And will have a proper army to defend any kind of early aggression incoming from July. And also it will translate into a more solid, more healthy economy later on. I do see that July for now is just stacking up on his on his 2 bases. He's actually making a big row of roaches at the moment, so I'm wondering if he's gonna try to make any roach push coming out soon. What I do notice on the production tab from Mana side is that he's getting hallucination and getting some photon cannons down. So assuming a very defensive position towards the aggression that seems like that July is preparing. He has a big mass of Zerglings poking at prodding at that destructible debris that gives access to the 3rd base of Mana, and on the back we did saw that bunch of roaches getting produced, and here they come. They're just streaming and trying to join forces with those Zerglings, while the Mana just keeps an hallucinated Phoenix here on the top of the game, keeping tabs on all the movements that July is making on this main gate, the access to that natural expo.
Indeed, Mana plays Protoss the way you're supposed to, whereas JulyZerg does nothing like that in his way of playing Zerg. Now Roach is starting to bear down upon the pylons, but all these centers are definitely able to push them off. But it's, again, it's not a matter of winning this first encounter, it's a matter of winning momentum. Yeah. JulyZerg wants to be dictating the pace, and by destroying the debris, by forcing Mana to play defensively, by forcing him to produce more units rather than probes, he is slowly but surely winning the early game and can transition into the macro Sauron Zerg mode that he is most comfortable in. But Mana is aware of this. He is now building a wall-in of gateways and pylons that will serve him as a secondary wave of defense, and JulyZerg meanwhile taking a 3rd base, showing that he is indeed not focused on pure aggression, but rather building an advantage that will transition into a strong late game.
And I was just checking this hallucinated Phoenix by Mana. He just spotted that 3rd base from July, so he knows how far July is going on his economy at the moment. Also probably is aware of the fact that July is not going to throw any massive wave of Zerg units anytime soon, since he's investing more and more resources on getting 3 bases rolling soon enough. While inside his base, he's trying to get some upgrades rolling. There's already weapons level 1, a single overseer from July flying over the main base, noticing everything, spotting everything, and getting killed, but still was able to take good notes, a lot of information. And we do have mouzMaNa going for a standard posture on this map. I mean, those ramps are very wide, it's hard to contain any kind of aggression unless you make a very solid sim city, and that's exactly what Mana is doing at the moment, trying to contain the movements with pylons and gateways, make small entrances, bottlenecks to avoid JulyZerg of being able to just stream in with a big wave of Zerglings, and like that, committing himself to an economy game, also on a defensive stance, and now grabbing a 3rd base as well.
Indeed, and meanwhile, as the Hydralisk then completed for JulyZerg, we see him going very hard on the Roach upgrades, also initiating Hydra range upgrades. So he will definitely be building a strong lair tech army here that will try to counteract whatever Mana is throwing at him. And again, being very aggressive with his Roaches, now being pulled back by a bunch of force fields, but at the same time avoiding them. He's got Burrow upgrade finished, so he can re-heal, regenerate these Roaches very quickly. And as of yet, mouzMaNa is forced to play on July's terms, and here we see the first Burrow.
Yeah, and there's a big battle, a big skirmish going on here, but I'm pretty sure that July is just trying to harass while he waits for his big batch of Hydralisks to come here. I think his intention is to have the Roaches just soaking up all the damage on the front, and the Hydralisks on the back on the 2nd line, trying to DPS as much as possible, because the Hydralisks are very effective against gateway units, and basically at the moment that's all Mana got. And if he's able to get a nice unit composition, a solid Roach wall on the front, taking the shots, backed up by a lot of Hydralisks on the back, he'll be able to dish out a lot of damage onto this Mana force here. And now we do see Mana just advancing, trying to kill some of those Overlords, and just July sending all of his Hydralisk force up north, try to advance towards these forces from Mana. Mana slowly pulling back with the shield on top of his units, making sure that those range shots from the Hydralisks won't be able to provide the damage that JulyZerg would be like to have. But there's a problem here. I only see Hydralisks, the Roaches are missing, and these Hydralisks are really squishy. I mean, only 80 HP, they need those Roaches on the front taking the damage, or else they will be finished off so quickly.
this is overly aggressive by JulyZerg. Now he's pulling back his Hydras, but he is again seemingly wanting to connect here with these Stalkers. But as you say, this is a problem. He cannot attack with pure Hydras alone. Even in Brood War that was risky, but here they are far too squishy. They are falling so quickly without dealing sufficient damage. Sure, taking down an Immortal, they are huge damage dealers, but they have no HP. They need a meat wall in front of them. And where are the roaches of July? This is looking precarious for the God of War.
Seems like now he's making a big row of roaches, 13 roaches coming out, but I do see as well a Spire. So he might make some kind of Roach-Ling Muta unit composition with some Hydralisks on the back, backing it up with some good DPS, with some solid DPS. That might be a solution, but if that's the way he's willing to go, I mean, he's missing a lot at the moment, and we do see that Mana keeps pushing, and he's not allowing July to mess up that desired army that he's intending on having. There's now finally roaches coming out, try to save the Hydralisks, shooing away the forces from Mana, and forcing Mana to slowly pull back, while that single Colossus was trying to just grind down the Roach force that is leading the charge here. Now we might have JulyZerg getting a bit of breathing space, a breathing room for him to mess up his units properly. I do see that he's making another row of Zerglings, getting as well missile attack level 2 already to get his Hydralisks putting out even more DPS, and Corruptors coming out, the proper counter to that Colossus play. Still there's none here, but he's making 6. So July is just getting a proper counter to any Colossus play coming out from Mana side, and will he be able to put out enough DPS? One of the problems that usually Zerg players have when they go for Corruptors is overcommitting, getting too many Corruptors and then not allowing themselves to have a proper ground army. That might be troublesome for July.
Indeed, that is the way that StarCraft2 functions, and sadly the way that Zerg functions when it comes to air units. They are very non-versatile when they have diminished their acquired targets. But the creep spread of July is truly helping him here. He's able to be far more offensive than he otherwise would have been. But we now see 2 Colossi in the army of mouzMaNa, and this is getting close to the deciding moment here. Very many Stalkers and quite a lot of Hydras, but it comes down to positioning. Over to you, Hydra.
This battle ensuing here is tremendous. JulyZerg keeps pushing more and more Corruptors. He wants to finish off the Colossus forces from Mana, and now at 17 minutes is just a massive clash that feels like that Mana is winning. He's slowly defending everything that July throws at him, and he has the proper unit composition to counter the Corruptor play, because he's quite heavy on the Stalker force. As you can see, he's just producing more and more, and those Stalkers will be able to shoot down that air aggression that July keeps throwing at Mana, and he needs to get those Corruptors on the front line to reach the Colossus, and by doing that he's obviously putting them in range to the Stalker force. So there's something not working here on July forces. He has a bunch of roaches now. At the moment, 24 roaches, 1 Zergling, 3 queens. That's basically its army. So it's slowly dwindling down, and his forces, he doesn't have the proper unit composition here. The Hydralisk force disappeared because he got slowly chewed out, and now we do see Mana just slowly advancing towards the creep, shooting down overlords that are just trying to make the creep higher, longer than it's supposed to be, if done only with creep tumors. And we do see that July is messing up a big army of roaches, backed up by Corruptors, but that's basically it. There's nothing else. No fungal growth to help out grinding down the forces from mouzMaNa. Nice fungals with Corruptors would be a good decision here to hold on to these Stalkers. And incoming all the roaches, going towards the forces from mouzMaNa, entering the fray and trying to spew as much acid as possible. But no, Mana has Stalkers and he has Zealots to withstand the pain of all of that acid that the roaches from July were spewing, and he doesn't have enough Corruptors to shoot down that Colossus force, finally sniping the final Colossus, but forced to GG out of the match. He didn't have anything else anymore. He was playing out of 3 bases for quite a long time, and those 3 bases, the mineral lines, if you take a look, they're all consumed, they're all drained, and July got to a point where he was contained, he couldn't expand properly, and didn't have the force to resist the aggression from mouzMaNa. So congrats to mouzMaNa taking the win on this first game.
Indeed, this is a first game in a best-of-3 series, but I feel that July, he stayed on lair tech and on free base for far too long. He had the opportunity to out-expand, to out-tech, to go for infestors with fungal
would be
growth,
nice.
or indeed even neural parasite, or going all the way up to broodlords. If you had had the economy to support it, it would have been a very, very powerful unit, making good use of those corruptors as
Yeah.
well. July, staying in aggression mode for somewhat too long.
Yeah, and this decision making, at least on the first waves of attack that he threw at Mana, I mean, he's sending Hydralisks all by themselves doesn't make much sense. I think he was just expecting Mana to bend over and give up, but that didn't happen.